Right, it's 7, so we can start. Right, well, thank you all for coming. Good evening. Housekeeping. Look, if there's a fire, if there's a fire, the fire alarm goes, it's a real one. We're not expecting a drill, so we're going to need by the bandstand. Obviously, we're using public devices to check our agendas for the meeting. And of course, as usual, the meeting will be recorded and uploaded to Council's YouTube channel. So if anyone doesn't want to be recorded from the public, let us know. I don't think anyone in the public is planning on recording, so that's fine. We'll move to item 1, which is apologies. We have apologies from Councillor Ian and Councillor Marsh, but it looks like everyone else is here. There is no public participation at this stage of the agenda. Item 3, then, declarations of interest. Members of any declarations of interest? No. No. Item 4, then, is the minutes of the last meeting, which was the 22nd of June 24. Oh. 23, it's 24. Yeah, that's in the future. Can I approve this as a true record? That is carried then. So the substantive item of business then is item 5, which is the road naming and financial management. I'm going to ask Kitty Buzzard to present that.
Hopefully members will have had the opportunity to read the report. You will see on the table that there are hard copies of the layout and with the roads colour coded to make it easier for you to see where we're fitted in development. And the recommendation for this committee tonight is to agree the road names proposed for phase 1 of the development known as Horton Heath, and to allocate £60,140 for developers' contributions secured through the phase 1 section 106 legal agreement towards delivery of the
Thank you. And we have 2 people, public in inverted commas, who want to speak on this. So I'll ask Helen.
Okay, so if I say sitting down, marvellous. Well, I'm here representing Horton Heath as chairperson of the parish council, a job I've had actually for 32 years, and one which I think qualifies me to speak on behalf of the people of Fair and more particularly Horton Heath. My council is your major stakeholder. We are the people you should be talking to and listening to, as well as other professionals. Congratulations, first of all, on the local names that you have chosen. I know we have a lot to do with it, suggesting them, and a lot of input into those names, and I'm very pleased with them. We've had far too many names that are football estates or racecourse estates or forests, not connected with the area. But the avenue, no. No one we have spoken to has agreed with this, none of our residents. We only have one avenue, it is in Southampton. If you say, where's the avenue, everyone will tell you it is Southampton. The justification that you've written says that names have got to be local. It actually says it's not about Southampton, it's not about Eastleigh, it's not even about Fair Oak, it's about Horton Heath. How right that is. And the avenue is not a name that sits comfortably with Horton Heath. Why are we copying Southampton? I get V, I get avenue. What I don't get is the lack of anything in between those 2 words. Let's have a prefix. Let's have the Heath Avenue, or the main avenue, or the Grand Avenue, or the Horton Avenue, or the Farm Avenue. We could go on, but not just the avenue. The whole idea of this development is that it's innovative. It's original, it's unique, it is going to be a showcase. Why are we copying Southampton then? Why haven't we got a name that is particular to Horton Heath? So I want you to listen to major stakeholder. We know what people want. This development is controversial, it's divisive, and it creates a lot of antagonism in the local area. It's an issue for almost all the community which I represent. So let's encourage a bit more buy-in and ownership of this scheme. Why don't you listen to what we're saying? And we're saying we don't like the avenue. I need the community to know that I'm here representing their views today, that the parish council has objected, and that the people who live in Horton Heath and Fair Oak to a lesser extent have been heard in their wishes. Thank you.
Super, thank you. I'm sure we've put our thanks on record to the council for their help in this meeting. Definitely, I'm sure some of those points are coming in debate. Our other member of the public who wishes to speak is Councillor House.
Yeah, thanks. So first off, Parish Council has an important role actually it does. But Borough Council clearly is the promoter, the developer, the funder, and the primary stakeholder in making development work. And we're a long-term institutional investor in this site, which is so different from a Bovis or a Barrett or a Taylor Wimpey or anything else. And so this site is very different. It's held together by the still emerging design code. I'll touch on the design code just briefly before continuing with this. We want, as the promoter, the developer, to bring the design code to you informally before it gets to you. And also council for the same reason. Because it is going to be the glue, the gel that holds the whole thing together. So that you get a sense of the entirety, but also see a sense of transition from one part of the family to another. The idea is not to create an identical scheme where every phase looks alike, but one that reflects the topography, the history, the character of the mix of housing, the mixture of tenures, the mixture of other facilities, and landscaping. The landscaping clears have got two, given it over half the site is green, despite being a relatively high site. So all that has to hang together. The thing that physically holds it together is the avenue through the site. And it's really that straightforward. There's no suggestion about copying sites. They have a road name. They've got all sorts of road names that are the same as road names. There's a Botley Road in site. There's a Bursland Road in site. Along with Bursland Roads and Botley Roads in our area. So road names are repeated in different places. It's a matter of routine. So that isn't an issue in that sense at all. It's about the concept that this is the thing that anchors the west of the site and the east of the site, and it's the transition. And the point of the avenue is exactly that as the definition of the word. Which is, it has a beginning, it has a transition, ending, and it's kind of a tree line green. And that's something very unusual in Eastleigh. It's hard to think of many places that fit that project. Lee Road always does. But a road that has that set of characteristics is very unusual in modern planning. So we alighted on Avenue very early on in the development process. And then it became internal thinking about the benefits of it being the avenue. There's only one of them, and that is the point. There's a misprint in the report, also fell on the word process, where it talks about, or I should say, definite hotspots. So the is the key word. It is the avenue. No repetition in Southampton. The emerging concept is that we keep this repetition of local based road through the site with a couple of exceptions. One is this one, the second is the short section of road through the local centre. Provision of the street, not copying Petersfield. Not copying Petersfield, but the concept again is the street. It's the local centre. We don't call it the local centre, but it's the place where people congregate. That's why the street is different from the avenue. If you put an extra word in the middle, you lose some sense of that. You lose some sense of that being something special and different. And that's why we kept on with that and strongly recommend it to the committee. It absolutely clear we've got nothing to do with that. Perish the thought. We wouldn't want to do that. But it is that distinctiveness that holds the whole thing together. It helps with the uniting design effect across the site.
Okay. Thank you. So that takes us to any questions from council?
Sorry, I'm just suggesting
Questions?
sorry. Would you have any objection to wording being added to the avenue?
I think it undermines the concept if you add additional word for the reasons that I have. Is the distinctiveness of
That was the question, yes.
Yeah.
Heath just mentioned about tree line, so I just wanted to confirm that the intention is to tree something there. So,
My understanding is that there will be trees.
because an avenue without trees doesn't seem to be much of an avenue.
Lots and lots.
Yeah. So yes, it's.
Is there any reason why the Heath would be a main road, or even Horton Heath? Give it the importance, surely Horton Heath Avenue, you were saying where about the development. Why would Horton Heath Avenue not work, or just the Heath maybe?
We would need to have our road name officer look into it. They advise whether a name would be acceptable by the post office or not. And that's typically around, are there any other roads in the local area? There's the potential for there to be confusion with. Now, I'm not aware of a road called Horton Heath something, so that could potentially be an option. But I would suggest if the committee wanted to propose alternative names, we may need to delegate the decision back to the chair and vice chair, subject to advice from the road engineer.
Any more questions?
Is there an objection? Why couldn't it just be called the road?
Or you might get terms great.
I think just I don't think that
Well,
was.
that was. I think sometimes.
We can go into debate. I think it's worth framing this that we have. I think there were two. Well, there's the strong suggestion, the recommendation in the report,
Yes.
and one alternative included that the road name officer would be happy with. If you reminded that we had to call it something else, we would have to go back and we wouldn't be able to take that decision tonight. So that road still wouldn't have a name. And Michael, it has had a name quite some time now. So that's just framing it. So we can go into debate, but just with that caveat around this can't just become hours of additional suggestions.
Mine is a very quick one. The avenue, I may have my geography totally incorrect, but for example, the avenue north, the avenue south. One side of the roundabout. Yes. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know what's doing with me. There's no roundabout, is there? It's just a straight road. Well, not just a curvy road.
Well, then I'm just thinking, so giving the roundabout, which like to
It's a sort of popular point. Yeah.
You know, this evening it reminds me of a council meeting 19 years ago. It was the first council meeting I went to, in the old council office. And I was listening to a debate. I thought, it's really good, I agree with that. And that person sat down. And I listened to a debate from the opposition. That's really good, I agree with that. Which way should I go? I think this is that moment, it's come back all of this time, all these years later, because I can see both sides of it. I think overall, I'm going to fall onto the Horton Heath Parish Council or Fareham Parish Council side. Not the avenue, but something avenue. We've had this discussion within the Parish Council. I agree with Ellen about stakeholders being given a say. Spoken to a lot of people in recent months, but over the last year. And I can see the importance of giving them some say, because there's a reticence for it, as we know, there's a reticence for the development. And you have to dive down to find out what the reticence is, because initially people say it's housing, but it's more than that. I would say probably higher on the list than the actual houses. It's traffic. They're worried about the amount of traffic. They're also worried about things that well, that's too much in our house, but they're worried about lack of access to GP schools and things like that. They're all not under our control. But I do think we should be involving the stakeholders as much as possible. So Chalcroft Avenue seems like a good suggestion when we were having our email conversation, right? But I don't understand that's out of the question. It would have been nice if that officer would be here so that we could have a debate with him, giving the nod or not. So Horton Avenue was one of us, was an alternative suggestion, I think, but that's what I think I go for.
Can I just go back and say, I totally agree, actually, I would like the avenue there. And I've only got the misgiving in case there is any confusion, but I thought about it, I think I'm totally thought what Peter's saying, that you get that, same name occurring right the way through, and if we started on, oh, well, as you say, there's a Winchester Road in Southampton, and there's a What's It Road, Regent, I don't know, it could go on ad nauseam. I think if anything, we stay with the avenue, and I'm rather minded, that's what it ought to be. And I can be persuaded, I don't think it's going to cause, it would cause confusion, and then you've got, it is their place, please. I don't see why it should cause anything.
My feeling is similar. I think this is about we're building a new place, and it feels almost slightly artificial if your name of somewhere
Yeah.
put it on the front. So I guess the main street in any village, any town is the high street, and they all have the high street, and you know what it is, and it's about declaring what that place is for, not in terms of anything else, but in its own terms, and allowing it to stand as its own place, its own development. And I can see why on the face of it, I mean, we normally give things something avenue, something road, something name. I think there's a sense that's the way it's done, and people perhaps like that there's a chance to recognise something in there. But I think in this case, the importance of this road with the place, actually, I think we would come to regret it because I think it will undermine the place that we're creating.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I'm very, very percent. I'm not totally impressed by that. We'll sort it out much more easy. I am impressed by it. Everybody wants. And that does sway me more than once. This debate will come to a conclusion later today, and will especially if it's not review of then persons.
Any thoughts?
I'm still not just the avenue, or the avenue with the heat, something. Just don't do taking the name of Southampton Avenue, this very well known in the area. Like this, yeah. And also, I think the local people, from what I gather, they're in atmosphere. And the parish. No, yes. And I just think it's a little bit, it's not really on to lord it out and force that name on the bishop is more they're the ones who have to live with stuck around them, so being the same name.
Well, I still feel that this is a huge development. It's going to have a life identity of its own. And I think people that move there, they're the ones who are going to have to embrace this thing, and I think they will. And going back to what you were saying, you know, in most town or village or whatever, you have the high street. And it's the high street in Bobby, the high street in wherever. So I've persuaded myself, and you persuaded me also, that I think the avenue is the right way to go.
There is a very decisive split down the middle.
I don't really much of a consensus at the moment. So the alternatives are that we don't come to a decision. I would like us not to be evacuated. Again, if we can avoid it. Horton Avenue is an available option. I don't much care for it. It sounds a bit Dr. Seuss. It's a road. Would be my concern on that one. It's not a Heath.
Yeah, do notice the road.
You know, then it's a bit confusing. Go and play on the Heath. That's a completely different meaning.
Oh. In my. I mean, aren't we proud of it? Yeah. Why wouldn't we call it Avenue Horton? Yeah. Don't know, Keith, maybe there's a-
I think in from my side, it's allowing the development to speak for itself and not having to label everything with where it is, I suppose. Because like I said, it just feels to me a little artificial.
But the thing is, we've only been offered one alternative that's acceptable, not acceptable to all.
We also haven't identified any other alternatives that the committee.
And that is also.
Trump Avenue seems to be a good choice, but that's been.
Where's that?
Yeah.
Because there's too many places around there called Sharp already.
When we use it on. You can put it back.
Whatever you do, you're wrong.
Yeah. Yes. So it's like, all of us, clearly. Well, I don't propose that we call it the Avenue. But I'd more like to second it.
You don't propose, we call
I
it.
do propose. that we call it the Avenue. There we are. So we can at least make a decision on that. If the committee support.
Look, either that, we haven't got another.
There is a degree of urgency.
Is there?
Yes.
When's the road opening?
Next year.
This year.
The modern really good.
Yes, so if this were the only road that we were developing, I would agree that some local link in the name would be important, but we have this whole other suite of roads that nods to the local.
So we've got a choice between the avenue and Levy.
We've got a choice between the Avenue and Horton Avenue, it seems, that's what they've been offered, isn't it?
So you have a recommendation before you that's been moved by the chair that will need to be voted on. Once you've voted that, if it is the case that you decide that the avenue is not full, then you do have the option of potentially delegating back the decision to the chair and vice chair of an alternative name. You can obviously propose alternative names that we can take to the road name master or assessment, like, or you can take a view that you would like the developer to come up with some alternative suggestions, and we can go through the process again. Of course, the impact of doing that does mean that we potentially have to come back to the committee again to consider alternative names. But there is a recommendation to be for you that's being moved, so that will need to be voted on.
So I propose that we call that road the Avenue. Shall we take that decision? And then whether or not that works, we can consider other options if need be. So we don't have to call it that. But I would like to. So Councillor Asman, second. Is there any debate? No. Can we take vote those in favour of the Avenue? No? Okay, those against? Okay.
We refer it back.
So the two options now are, we're allowed to call it Horton Avenue. We can make that decision now because the road naming officer has said that's okay. but none of us like it. Which I think leaves the only other option is that we either make some suggestions, ask the developers to make some suggestions, and then we have to choose between having another meeting like this or delegating it to the chair and vice chair to make a decision on panel.
You agree?
I'm proposing that we look at Helen gave a very good. I made some very good comments at the beginning of this meeting, and I think that parish councils should be involved in the decision, not just the developer, the parish council. It's not, we're not going to come up with voting at both places, something like that. I'll be honest.
No, we're not. How about the Croft Avenue?
Whatever we decide needs to go away and be checked by the road officer. So maybe a suggestion is that we ask the developer and or parish council to build some alternatives that we can then discuss over email.
I think it has a better look if the parish council has got involved, because they're an external stakeholder. The developer has got skin in the ground. I think parish council should have some weight on the decision.
Difficult with no residents to consult, isn't it?
I'm all in favour of us getting stakeholders involved as much as possible on we say serious and serious, but on as many decision-making processes involved in the development that we can, because in my experience in many projects that I've run in my career, they never work very well when you don't involve the people that affects them. They work really well if you've got the buy-in of the state. Saying that this will work really well, but I think it will. And it's lots of stuff that we have to keep repeating. Type of housing, residential, letting, would it be for rent? We've set up this scheme that we're going to be the landlords, long-term rent, and eventually to reduce the amount of private landlords that, well, that's another one. I still think we should be, involving as many stakeholders as possible. And now, you get to the stage where you've got too many stakeholders, you can't get decisions made. It's something which.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're going to pick another name. We do want some sense of what we need to want. So that's why the committee is we want a road that is acceptable. And I would say we don't know what that is. And I just said I don't think I understand what the real reaction to the avenue would be, because I suspect we haven't had a good cross-section of people. Absolutely.
Sorry. Yes. Reaction to asking the Great British public. Sometimes it was a very funny. In these hardened economic terms, we know what we get with public art. Why are you spending money on art? You could be, in their terms, creating an employing of doctors. And the longer we drag this sort of thing out, although we are seeking their views, they just see this as outcomes of spending money. Why are they asking me that? That's the majority. You get them, I mean, because you were never going to get 100% of people that you're asked responding. We all know that. You'll get a very few in the overall picture to actually respond. So I don't think we're doing ourselves any great favour Because they will turn on us and say, what are that council up to? Spending money on this, and they could be spending it on other things. That's the feel that I get from the way it. Perhaps I'm speaking to the wrong people, but
The point we need in constants is the. But if we don't have the. So that means actions. Management. Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to spread too wide, because I mentioned voting with both places, and that idea of consulting the public went horribly wrong. But government, I think the parish council is why it should be spread.
Okay, so some of this is about process, but it doesn't need a committee decision on process beyond whether you're happy to get a delegate the final approval of a name to chair and vice chair, obviously, members, or whether you want us to come back to a full meeting to make a final decision. Now, it's some emergency. But okay, and then we can have a discussion with the developer and the parish council about what other options we can. I think that's the only thing. Actually.
Yeah, and if this was another option.
Okay, so that's the proposal then, that we will, following some discussion, delegate to chair and vice chair in consultation with the final name, and we will work with the people to try and come up with that. On top of that, we'll put the financial management recommendation as in the report. So can I see all those in favour? Or can I have a second
Yeah.
for that? Oh, lovely. Bruce, all those in favour? That's unanimous.
Before you check, could you confirm that you agree with the other names? Because I
Yes.
hope you don't agree with those,
Okay.
and it would really help the comms team here if you do that, because they need to start to reporting.
Okay, so yeah, I propose you also accept all the other names.
Yeah, I think that's very good. The son of that sort of certainly step back and I think if we work through the patterns, certainly unusual. That's good.
Okay, so I that sounds like seconding that. All those in favour? Good. So, that is the end. Thank you for coming, thanks for listening and contributing. And we'll try and move that basis along then.